What happens to our brain when we are in a stressful state. Your economics, your socioeconomic status becomes problematic only when it becomes a mental emotional stressor. So all these sociological or social factors are only issues if they stress one's brain out. Stress sounds the alarmin. So alarmin is actually a biological entity. There are many different alarmins. This is one of them. It's called high mobility group box 1. Here's what we need to know though. When psychological, now it could be anything that is mentally, emotionally stressful. So anything that's happening in your life, if you're stressed out about being overweight or being unfit or being single or getting all those things cause the alarmin to be activated. So what happens is the alarmin causes pro-inflammatory cytokines to be released. They are pro-inflammatory proteins, and they wreak havoc on the brain and all other tissues when they are produced in excess. It turns out that lack of sleep, sedentary living, and various psychosocial stressors all create the flame, turn on the nuclear factor by activating this substance called an alarmin. So stress turns on the alarmin, and then we end up with the pro-inflammatory state. And that becomes highly problematic in terms of overall health, in terms of pain, depression, risk of dying from the flu or COVID and every other chronic condition. There's even a study that was done several years back where they worked with fibromyalgia patients, and all they did was get their sleeping proper, and their widespread pain went away. It was driven by sleep. Why? Because sleep loss activates the alarmin, cytokines are released, and these pro-inflammatory cytokines circulate systemically in the nervous system as well as peripherally and create widespread pain in those who are susceptible. So when it comes to fear and catastrophizing, I mentioned before that it will turn off our prefrontal cortex. So you can see the title of this paper, The Effects of Stress Exposure on the Prefrontal Cortex. So when we're living in a fear and catastrophizing state, our prefrontal cortex, which has multiple sectors that oversee how, or when the prefrontal cortex is working properly, it is able to inhibit fears and stressors. But when fear and catastrophizing takes over, the prefrontal cortex shuts off. And now the amygdala turns on, and you live in a state of chronic fear and catastrophizing. But it also changes how our brain works. Think about that. It strengthens amygdala functioning while it weakens the prefrontal cortex, which is, it's been called like the seat of reason of the human brain. So this is where, we look at the world and we make choices based upon the input. So if you are stressed out and your amygdala is activated, you're much more likely to engage in inappropriate activities because the prefrontal cortex is turned off.